Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back in the channel. It's Monday, September 25th, 2023, and all of you that watched my video yesterday, my personal video, appreciate you taking the time to watch that. It means a lot to me. I'll link it below if you missed it. Go check it out. It is definitely worth watching, and it might help you and motivate you and inspire you to make some changes in your life like I did. With that said, today's video, the subject of today's video, Lindy Glenn, YouTuber, OG YouTuber, friend of mine, and reseller extraordinaire. Lindy, many of you probably know Lindy and you've watched her. She was not on YouTube for quite a while. She took a hiatus, not a lot of content, and she's back making content. And if you're unfamiliar with who Lindy is, I'll link her YouTube channel below. Go subscribe to her. She has like 140,000 subscribers, so great YouTube channel to watch for resellers. She, about a year and a half or 2 years ago, opened a bin store. If you're not familiar with what a bin store is, it's like where they have bunches of bins, not the Goodwill bins, but a bin store where the first row of bins might be $5 items, and then it's $4 and $3 and $2, and the items rotate as they don't sell. Lindy opened one of those out in Kansas where she lives about a year and a half to 2 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. And full transparency, she doesn't know I'm making this video, so hopefully she likes it. Hi, Lindy, if you're watching. I'm sure you will later. But she had a very negative experience with her bin store, and not the selling side of it, which did well, but just the negative side of having a brick and mortar store that she made a video about last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and she detailed everything that happened. I will link those below as well, so you can go check out the full videos. But I want to recap what happened to her owning a brick and mortar bin store, and where it went wrong and what mistakes were made. Full transparency again, she made some, but they're not entirely her fault because she was absolutely taken advantage of by, allegedly, according to what I've heard, by the landlord at her business's location. So let me tell you what happened, and then if you want to go rewatch her full video, it'll be linked below. I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, ProEcommercelister, your one-stop shop for listing services. Simply take photos of your inventory, upload them into our system in our mobile app or website, and we do the rest. Titles, descriptions, conditions, item specifics, return times, handling times, and shipping policies. You simply price your item and make them live on the platform. Contact ProEcommercelister below at www.proecommercelister.com or email us at proecommercelister@gmail.com for full instructions and pricing. And thank ProEcommercelister for being a sponsor of the Rockstarflipper YouTube channel. Okay, so these bin stores, like I said, they basically, I'll try to put a screenshot up here. They have like rows of bins, and a lot of resellers source from them. It's a great place to source, great place for the business owner. I think it's a great idea. I would never own it. I'm not really a brick and mortar type retail store guy. I don't like that, but it's great for some people. And they've popped up all over the country. They're in tons of cities. If you Google them, look them up, you can find them. There's tons of them here in Florida, and I've seen them in Georgia, and I've seen them in North Carolina, and I've seen them in California and Vegas, and I've seen them everywhere. So definitely research them if you want to find them. Lindy had contacts in the wholesale world where she could buy truckloads or pallets full of merchandise. And when you brought all that in, her cost might be $1 an item or $1.50 an item or $2 an item, right? Whatever it was, whether it was home goods or makeup or electronics, she could buy all this merchandise up from these return shops and these liquidators, and then she could bring them into her store and then put them in the $5 bins and profit every time one sold, and then move it over to the $4 bins and then the $3 bins until, you know, when it's in the $1 bin, it might be she's losing money, but she's just turning it back into cash because all the rest made money. And so this is a really good business model. A lot of people do it. It's popular, and it gives resellers a place to source from because you can dig through these bins and find really good stuff for $3 or $4 or $5. And some people do it differently. Some people have actual shelves where it's $5 every day, all day for these items. Different business models. But Lindy got a brick and mortar store, obviously in a shopping center. And everything I'm about to say is based on what she said in the video and based on my understanding of it. Her brick and mortar lease was for a triple net. If you don't know what a triple net is, in commercial real estate, it's not as simple as them saying your rent is $2,000 a month, you hand them $2,000 and you're done. It doesn't work that way in all instances, in a lot of instances. A triple net means that the tenant, us, the person renting the building where you're gonna have your store, has to pay a portion of or all of the estimated insurance, the business insurance on the building where it's at, the property taxes, which of course you know can go up over time, and maintenance, upkeep, other things. And that's why it's called a triple net. There's 3 other things that you have to pay in addition to your rent amount. So the landlord might say your rent is $4,000. But then they say, okay, the mortgage or the rent is this, but the rest of it, the property taxes, the insurance, and all the rest are going to be $2,000 a month, approximately. So your total payment every month is actually $6,000. And that is an estimate. And as far as I understand, in a triple net lease, they're supposed to give a good faith estimate based on the current numbers of what it would be for insurance today and property taxes. And at the end of your year, of your 12 months, if you've signed longer than 12 months, like you have a 2 or 3 year lease, which Lindy had more than a 1 year lease in this case, at the end of a year, they're supposed to re-estimate that and get re-numbers and see if it went up, and then notify you at the beginning of your next year that, hey, it's gone up $400 a month, and then you start paying that new payment. That's the way a triple net lease works. And there are some limitations and limits to this. Apparently what happened with Lindy's situation is that her landlord, I guess the property management changed hands. It became a new property manager, because companies like this that own these strip malls have property management companies, and they did not estimate the numbers correctly. So her rent was $4,000, her triple net was $2,000, but it actually should have been $4,000. So every month she was underpaying by $2 or $3,000 or whatever it was. And then at some point, which I believe was at the beginning of this year or some months ago, they came to her and informed her that, hey, turns out you've been paying $2,000 or $3,000 too little every month. You owe us $42,000 in back triple net rent, and we need that money right away, or we're going to evict you, which is terrible, and we are going to come after you for the backed money and the remainder of the lease, even if we evict you from the building, which is their right as a landlord. If you leave the building or are kicked out of the building, you're still responsible for the lease that you signed. And obviously, any business, Lindy's was successful. According to her, she did over $1 million in sales. I don't know her profit margins, but even at 30% would be $300,000. That's successful in my eyes. It could be more, it could be less. I don't want to speculate on her numbers. To come up with $42,000 basically overnight or within even a couple of weeks is not an easy task. That's a tall task for a lot of people to just come up with that cash. And even if you have it, that money could be money you've been buying inventory with, buying $5,000 or $10,000 pallets and trucks, buying $20,000 truckloads, whatever it is. That's a lot of money and a lot of product and a lot of $42,000, if you're paying even a $6,000, $7,000 rent, is a half a year of your rent. I mean, 6 months rent at $7,000 is $42,000. That could have paid 6 months of her rent. So that's a big amount of money for anyone to come up with. And I definitely think that when you sign papers, when you sign a contract, you have to fine-tooth comb all the numbers. And Lindy says that, from what I understand, that in her paperwork when she signed it, that the numbers were the numbers that she was paying, and that they said that was underestimated, a mistake, and that she owed this more money. Now, obviously, the question comes about of why doesn't she hire an attorney and fight them? And that's a great question, and this comes back to lawsuits and things that I talk about on this channel all the time. She could, and she would probably win. The problem is, to fight a case of that nature could take many, many months and many years. In the meantime, they could definitely evict her if she doesn't pay the money, which she would no longer have her business up and running to make money, to pay the lawyer. The lawyer is going to cost more than $40,000, almost certainly $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 to fight a case like that over the course of a year or two. And there's no guarantee that you win. And if you do win and you don't have to pay him the $42,000 or the rest of the lease, you still have to pay the lawyer. And then a lot of people are going to say, well, sue them, countersue them for legal fees. It doesn't quite work that way. It's a big myth around people that if you win a lawsuit, you automatically get your legal fees paid for it. It's not necessarily true. Generally, there's a statute that says you only get your fees if you had a contract saying that if you have to sue them, that you'll get your fees. Generally, as the tenant, when you sign their lease, it tells you that you have to pay their legal fees if you have to come for them, but not vice versa. And a lot of cases only pay out legal fees, even with a contract, if it was a frivolous lawsuit. Their lawsuit was not frivolous to come after you for your lease and your back payment. And if you sue them in reverse, it's not frivolous also because it's a legit case. So the chances of getting your legal fees back are usually like 70-30 in their favor, not yours. So chance she could have got it back, big chance, big risk, probably not worth it. So ultimately her solution is to come up with a payment plan and some kind of deal to work out paying off the backed rent while continuing to make her current rent on top of that. So she's still got to make the current rent plus the extra that covers her all month long, the increase, and then make some sort of payment towards the $42,000. So really crappy situation. And this is why I will never have a brick and mortar. Even if I didn't have a triple net, I probably wouldn't sign it for any lease because it's 1, 2, 3 years. And there are easier ways to run if you need an office. If you need a retail shop, you don't have a choice. But if you just need an office or storage units, you could rent a 1 year, rent a house, and you could use a house to store inventory if you don't need a retail shop. If you need a place to set up and run an office out of, tons of people run them out of condos and townhomes and houses. Trust me, I've seen it 1,000 times. I could rent my house, my neighbor's house next door, and have inventory delivered to the garage and then set it all up, like literally treat it as a business in that house. I mean, think about your doctor's office in a little, executive plaza. It's nothing more than a glorified house. So you could do that and sign a 1 year lease, not be on the hook, and basically run your business out of that if it was allowed in the neighborhood. So that is the story of what happened to Lindy. I hope I got it right. Essentially, her landlord and her property management company screwed her out of $42,000, and they, in my opinion, it was a predatory lease. Whether they knew it was going to go up or not, whether they did it intentionally, it's tough to say because they don't want anybody owing them 42 grand, but possible. Inflation, taxes, all that stuff did jump up way more than anybody could have thought. So that's probable that it happened to them and that they just didn't account for all that and that she just is on the losing end of that, the short end of the stick. And that's sad and it's unfortunate. So Lindy is going to, in like 41 weeks, close her store. That's what's left on her lease, which is like 10 months, something like that. 10 months is 40 weeks, so she's a little more than 10 months. And then after that, she is going to work out of her house again. She's going to have inventory there. She's going to run Facebook auctions and Facebook sales. She's going to do Whatnot. She's going to do eBay and just run it like a lean business instead of having all that overhead. You can imagine what $10,000 a month in overhead, $12,000, $15,000 with employees can really do to a person, $20,000 even. So I wish her the best of luck. I don't really talk to Lindy very much, if at all, in the last couple of years. Nothing personal. We just have our own businesses. We've been busy. She's been busy. She's going to be overly busy selling off her inventory. You can support her by going to watch her videos on YouTube, giving her lots of views, running it in the background like you can for my videos. And it'll earn her a lot of money on YouTube so she can have that money to basically pay back that 42 grand. So tough luck. It's a shitty situation. I feel bad for her. I feel bad for anybody that's ever got stuck with that. But lesson learned, right? And hopefully this video educates some of you guys about what to do and what not to do with triple net leases. Make sure you have a lawyer. Read it over before you sign it and certify it. And if you have a lawyer with you at the time of signing a lease, generally the property management company will know you're serious and they won't come back after you. It probably wouldn't have happened to her. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have completely, but better chance it wouldn't have. And I feel like, in my opinion, they probably tried to take advantage of her. She's a woman. She's in business. As sad as it is in this society, that happens. It does happen. It's just a fact. It's nothing personal against women. But they are targeted. They absolutely are. And people try to see if they can get away with stuff. And I think that might have played a little part in it as well. I don't know if she had her husband with her or if she had anybody with her when she negotiated or signed paperwork. But hopefully that isn't the case. Hopefully they're not those kind of people. But it's possible. So I'll leave you guys with that. Appreciate it. Best wishes to Lindy, and hopefully that educated you a little bit more on retail, brick and mortar, stores, the bin stores, triple net leases, and just doing business with low overhead. You know, I hate overhead. I despise it. That's why I don't have buildings. That's why I don't have employees. I've had all that. You guys have seen it, and it's just not fun. So enjoy the video, guys. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and check out our links below. Our website that makes listings for you, ProEcommercelister.com, has coupon codes. They're down in the description, excuse me, and you can use them anytime to have us do all the work for you to get all your listings up for fourth quarter. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.